the USTECH, which is the most profitable trade for us in the last 24 hours, in the last 48 hours in this market. Now look at what we have here on the USTECH 1 hour time frame. At the beginning of the week, we initially cited a channel between the 12,370 level. So we had something like this. We had a resistance point around that level, and then we had a support area around the 12,320 area to give us a flat channel. And what this simply tells us is that there is an indecision or a low liquidity in this market, and this has resulted in that flat channel. And one thing we got to know is that on Monday was the President's public holiday, and as a result of the observation of the public holiday there, the market was not open, hence the low liquidity in that market. And you know, from a technical standpoint, whenever we identify such a simple flat channel like this, all we want to be doing is to wait for either a breakout of the channel to the upside or a breakdown of the channel to the downside for trading opportunity. And this is what we saw here during the early hours of Tuesday. We saw price action break down the 12,320 level to trigger our sell position at that point. And in fact, price action moved significantly well in our favor to hit the TP target at the 12,200 level to give us about 120 pips thereabout. Now, during the live session yesterday, we saw the situation here where bullish momentum came in around the 12,200, and I told you how strong that level has been for buying momentum in the past here, as you can see. And as a result of that, we said this bullish momentum here could be a retracement phase of that previous impulse leg that we had that culminated at the structure. And as a result of this, we identified the sell window around here where we said selling pressure around the structure will be welcoming an additional position to our existing trade. And if price action does break down the $12,200 level, we want to be adding more position to our existing trade. And this is exactly what happened here during the New York session yesterday. And I think to make things easy for us, I was able to identify a structure around the 12,240 level on our 15 minutes time frame, where I said we want to be selling if price drops below that level. And if I scale down to the 15 minutes time frame so that we can see what I was talking about here during the live session yesterday. So this is the 12,240 level that we identified during the live session, and I told you that we want to be selling right below this level if the selling pressure continues below that area. And in fact, the market gave us an opportunity during the New York session. We saw the breakdown of structure. If you had missed that, price action actually came back to do the retest of that level, and since then we have seen our price has continued to trade to the downside. Then a further breakdown of the 12,200 level as projected yesterday was another opportunity for us to add more position to our existing trade. So from this current structure here to this point, if you are taking that move, that's about 180 pips in profit. And if you had also taken advantage of the breakdown of the 12,200 level, you will be with about 150 pips in profit. So we have a total of over 300 pips in profit, which is quite impressive on the third day of this week. So right now, for those who are taking advantage of these opportunities, well done to you guys for being on standby to catch these moves. Now, the next thing we want to be doing is to secure this current position. That is, if you are still in this trade, you want to secure this current position by moving your stop loss accordingly. And what I will be suggesting here is that somewhere right around the 12,120, which has been a good resistance point here in the last 12 hours, seems most appropriate to place our stop loss in. So let's place our stop loss somewhere around the zone here, and we hope that price action will continue to the downside from this level. Now, for those who had missed out on these opportunities that we had yesterday at the 12,240 and the 12,200 level, well, we shall be looking out for more opportunities to join this decline to the downside if the market will permit us. So what I'll be doing right now is to scale up into the daily time frame so that we can have a better perspective into what is really going on in this market from an holistic point of view, after which we are going to be coming back into the 1 hour time frame to make a decision on how we want to be positioning ourselves to catch a trading opportunity during the New York session today. So this is the 1 hour time frame here. Hold on a second, please give me a moment. All right, so I'm back here. And one thing we observed on the daily time frame is the fact that price has been very bearish, and in fact throughout the course of last year we saw a situation where price uniformly traded on lower lows and lower highs. And to further emphasize the strength of the sellers in this particular market, we were able to connect the series of lower highs here, which has given us this bearish trend line that you can see on your screen right now. And this trend line continued to resist all attempts by the buyers to break out of this structure and continue to push price to the downside. However, things got a little bit interesting in the month of June, as we saw around the $11,000 area. This zone was a very comfortable niche for buying potential, as we saw all attempts by the sellers to break down the structure had been negated by buying pressure around this area. So sellers were unable to break down the $11,000 level, and in fact this lasted about 6 to 7 months here, as throughout the second half of last year sellers were unable to break down that level. And this simply means that participants in this market found the $11,000 price cheap enough to buy the USTECH. And what happened since the beginning of the year was that we saw those bullish momentum started above the $11,000 level, and price action continued to find higher highs and higher lows, which led to the final breakout of that bearish trend line. And at this point we realized that the trend line no longer has that capacity to continue to negate all bullish attempts, and this resulted into a situation where price continued to find higher highs, and this bullish momentum appeared to have culminated at around the 12,900 level. And to further emphasize the importance of the 12,900, we zoomed out a little bit and went to as far back as the month of March last year to see how this level had been a major determinant of price action in the past. As you can see, it has been more of a selling niche around this area, which simply means that participants sellers are very strong at this particular area. And as a result of the selling pressure around the 12,900 level since the beginning of this month, we saw a situation where price action transitioned into a consolidation phase here, which at the end of the day has resulted into a reversal pattern in the form of a double top structure. So we identified this double top structure yesterday with the neckline of that reversal pattern sitting at the 12,310 level. And what we said yesterday is that the breakdown of the 12,310 level will be a confirmation that that reversal pattern is very valid. Now another thing that also buttresses the fact that we might be having a sell-off in this market is the fact that price action has broken down that bullish trend line. Look at this bullish trend line here. It has been a line that has been supporting bullish momentum since the beginning of this year, and in fact there was no time price ever broke down the structure until recently, and that was last week Friday when we saw the breakdown of this trend line here, and that was a sign that the trend line no longer have the capacity to continue to hold that bullish momentum anymore. And we were lucky enough to be part of this trade as the breakdown of the neckline of that reversal happened, as we were able to scoop all this potential profit, which is about 280 pips thereabout in that regard. Now right now price is back at a critical point right now, which is the $12,100 level. And to let you know how important that level is, if we go to as far back as the month of November. Remember, if you have been with us here since the month of November on the USTECH, you would remember that we had a structure here where price action was caught within a channel, and the $12,100 level was serving as a strong selling niche, and it was the resistance point of that channel. And during the first day of this month, we saw price action break out of that 12,100 level for the first time in about 3 months, and the bullish momentum from that level was so massive that we had an engulfing candle in that regard. Right now, price is back at that structure. So what we are going to be doing now is to zoom into a much lower time frame. Let's see how participants in this market is going to be reacting to the 12,100 level to decide what our next line of action will be. And if we look at this from a technical standpoint, looking at the breakout of the 12,100 level that happened at the beginning of the week, and if we start seeing buy pressure around that area, then we might likely be seeing this as a retest of structure with the hopes that price action will incite another wave of bullish momentum. So that is one scenario that we want to be taking into consideration while planning for the New York session today. Another thing that could happen here is this engulfing candle could transition into a trend continuation pattern around here, probably in the form of a bearish rectangular pattern on our lower time frame. Breakdown retest of that structure has a possibility of inciting another wave of bearish momentum, probably back into the 11,700 or the bearish trend line that was broken during the later part of last month's trading session. So we are looking at two scenarios here. So we are going to be scaling down to the 1 hour time frame to see how participants in this market is reacting to the structure, and whatever market structure we are able to identify there will be giving us an hint into how to position ourselves to take advantage of any trading opportunity during the New York session today. So in that regard, we shall be scaling back down into our 1 hour time frame, and we shall be taking into consideration the importance of the $12,100 level. So let's identify the $12,100 level here, and if we zoom in, so this is where it's more important for us right now. So we have the $12,100 level somewhere around here. So I think I will just have to adjust the 12,120 to suit that current structure there, or probably put it in between so that we can have an average. So let's put that 12,110, and to make it closer to that structure. You know, one of the things we look out for in this kind of situations are zones. We can't be specific of a particular price really. So we just look out for zones, and let's put between the 12,100 and the 12,110. So for the sake of this, let's just place it $12,110 levels, which also covers that area around there. So like I told you on the 1 hour time frame, there are two things we want to be looking out for around this area. So if price action evolves into a reversal pattern, probably like a double bottom structure, then we might likely be seeing a bullish momentum from that level. Let me show you one more time so that you can see what I'm talking about. So on the daily time frame, this is what we saw on the daily time frame. So I told you that we are going to be looking forward to see how price will be reacting to the 12,100. So if we see buy pressure here, remember we had the breakout of structure here, and from a technical standpoint, whenever we cite a breakout of structure, there is always a likelihood that price action will come back, do a retest of that structure to incite another wave of momentum in the direction of the prior leading price action. So now that is one scenario there. So if we cite a reversal pattern, we want to be joining a rally from that area. But if this situation here transitions into a trend continuation pattern, then definitely we want to be selling below the 12,100. So now going back into the 1 hour time frame, it appears we are already finding a structure around that area. So I will be zooming into that structure, as this is where we want to be focusing on to plan against the New York session today. So we have the situation here, and if I bring out my line chart, we also have a support level for this channel, which falls around the 12,000 and let's see. I think 12,060, I guess. So let's just put it at 12,060 for the sake of clarity. So we have the 12,060 level here, and so we have something like a flat channel as well at this point. Now there are two ways to trade this. Now the first thing is, if following this impulsive move to the downside, it could transition into a double bottom structure, which is a strong technical reversal pattern, where the 12,110 level would be the neckline of that pattern. So what this simply means is that if we're going to see the maturity of this reversal pattern, we want to see a buying opportunity at the breakout retest of the 12,110 level to make this reversal pattern a matured one for us to buy. And if we are buying there, this is more or less going to be a counter trend opportunity. And remember, we have this bearish trend line since the beginning of the week, which has been resisting buying attempt. So if a breakout of that level happens, then definitely we might want to be taking this counter trend opportunity with the hopes that price action will come back and respect that trend line, or it could go as far as the 12,200 level. Remember, this level was broken to the downside, and in fact that level also was a strong demand zone in the past. And with the breakdown of that structure, we might likely see this bullish momentum rise back into the 12,200 level, where depending on how price action reacts to the structure will now determine if we are going to be adding more position. That is, if a breakout of that level happens, and if selling pressure resumes below that level, then we will be seeing it as a retest of structure to join a decline to the downside from that level. So that is one thing we are going to be looking forward to here. That is, if price action breaks out of the 12,100, then it would have evolved into a reversal pattern. Now the next thing we are going to be looking forward to is this consolidation phase here could actually transition into a trend continuation pattern. And how is that possible? Well, if we look at what has been happening here in the last how many hours now, I think in the last 14 hours, I guess, price action has been consolidating, hereby finding a range between the $12,100 level and the $12,060 level, to emphasize that there is an indecision in this market. And obviously, whenever we have this kind of structure, it more or less gives us a sign that participants are waiting for a catalyst that will bring some liquidity into the market, so that we can have a sense of direction of where price is likely going to be heading. And you know, we have the FOMC coming up today, so it's very peculiar post macroeconomic event to have such structures. And like I said, this kind of structure here could transition into a trend continuation pattern, and this could be a bearish rectangular pattern. As you can see, price has been linear with this channel. So if it so happens the price action breaks down to $12,060 level here, then that will transition into a reversal pattern. Continued selling pressure below the structure on our lower time frame will definitely be giving us an opportunity to add more position to our current sell position at this point. So these are my views here on the USTECH. So I hope that we'll be on standby to catch any of this opportunity when they finally happen. So you can have your orders placed at each end, so that you can be able to catch these moves when they finally continue to gain some momentum during the New York session today. So that is that on the USTECH. If you have any questions, feel free to drop your enquiries in the comment section.